Madison, around the 1819 time period. This is the first house on our first historic house on our tour of Savannah. So I hope you'll stick with us. Come along for the ride.
Beautiful building.
William Scarborough House.
It was completed in 1819. In May of that year, James Monroe was here for the launching of the SS Savannah. Okay. Let's do it. Is it the Telfair Mansion? Yeah, we've been walking past it. Yeah, Telfair Mansion.
Telfair Family Mansion.
One of the outstanding examples of Regency architecture. The main floor and basement kitchens are maintained in the Historic House Museum. Oh, as a Historic House Museum. The Rotunda and West Wing are later additions. It was left by Savannah's outstanding philanthropist, Mary Telfair, relative of William Gibbons.
And one of the Revolutionary Patriots walked into this building while government activity was taking place. Major General Habersham, you are now my prisoner. How would you like to have been the recipient of that message?
And who was that patriot?
His name's up here.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so yeah, January 18th, 1776. And Major Joseph Habersham, commanding a small force of patriots, walked alone into the chamber where Governor Wright was conferring with his council and said, "Sir James, you are my prisoner." That's James Wright, who was the governor of this region in the colonial time. And
Habersham later became Postmaster General of the U.S.
Yeah, that would have been after. So I'm standing in front of the Old Pink House restaurant. It was originally known as Habersham House, built in 1789 by James Habersham, Jr., who was one of Savannah's most important early cotton factors and founding family members. He lived here until he died in 1799. Then it was a land grant from the British Crown and survived the Savannah Fire of 1796, which destroyed 229 buildings in the city. In 1812, the home became the Planters Bank, First Bank of Georgia. After the Civil War, the house changed hands several times, becoming an attorney's office, a bookstore, and a tea room. So this is the Old Pink House restaurant. You can see it right there. House was built in 1819 and is an example of English Regency architecture, which would be compatible with houses built in Bath, England, if you've ever been there. Evident in the Bath stone of construction, as well as the sophisticated architectural detail that added gentrifying physical ornament to the then newly successful southern port of Savannah. So the original slave quarters have little in them, but one may see how the slaves tried to bring their culture and craft from Africa in the blue paint they were made for the ceiling to represent water.
Right, but I don't see the slave quarters.
But you can't see that because that's on the inside.
Right.
and was built for Richard Richardson and his family in 1819, who earned their money as cotton merchants and bankers.
Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, and I'm going to get down here to the crosswalk across the street because I'm way too close to do this building justice. Okay, so which one is on your now? There is a look at that church. Absolutely gorgeous.
So in the early days of America, Roman Catholics were prohibited from settling in the South out of fear that they would become more loyal to the Spanish southern colonies and move away from the English northern colonies. As a result, Savannah had no Catholic church until 1799, when French migrants from Haiti, who were fleeing the French Revolution, established their first. And it was right here in 1873 the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist was built and completed with the addition of the majestic twin spires in 1896. So the first Catholic church built in Savannah was in 1799. This one was built in 1873. It was a beautiful spire.
One last shot of that Catholic church and a bonus bragging room down there. Weed House.
An antebellum mansion. The first house in Georgia to be designated as a state landmark in 1953. An example of Greek Revival and Regency-style architecture. Built by renowned Irish architect Charles D. Cuskey in 1841 for Francis Sorrell, a commissioned merchant from the West Indies. Features a parapet with elliptical arches, a sweeping double entrance, and Doric columns on the portico, with balconies on the first story front windows.
Okay.
The pinkish color of the house is an interesting story. During the first restoration, the historic Savannah Foundation didn't want the owner to use it, because it wasn't considered as one of Savannah's original colors. However, after scraping off over 20 layers of old paint, the owner was able to prove that it was, in fact, the original color. So it stayed.
Okay then. And the other house, I bet, is over here. You can stop the video to read the plaque if you'd like.
Was the headquarters for General William Sherman in December of 1864 during the Civil War.
Until February of 1865, Charles Green offered up the use of his home to Sherman and his staff. Sherman's chaplain conducted Christmas services in St. John's Church, which is right next door. The house was built for Green, a British subject residing in Savannah prior to 1854. The architect architect was John S. Norris of New York. The house is notable in one of the country's finest examples of residential Greek revival.
It was once the most expensive 19th century house in Savannah.
Cost of construction in the 1850s totaled $93,000. Those wrought iron fences are just amazing. And the church. And I'd just be willing to bet that these buildings over here have a story to tell, if only we knew what it was. And the Scottish Rite. And this is
the Andrew Lowe House, built in 1848-49 for wealthy cotton merchant Andrew Lowe. It combines the Grecian details with elements of the Italian villa style and boasts one of Savannah's most stunning ironwork balconies. The shuttered piazza overlooks a beautiful brick-walled rear garden, and the front garden remains much as it did when first planted.
Okay, we'll take a look at this front garden. Oh, nice. The Flannery O'Connor. Okay. Sorry. You're going to have to tell me the books. And again, this house is not on this list, but it should be. I guess nobody famous lived here. But it's a beautiful house. And the shutters on that porch are gorgeous.